What up, y'all? What's up, man? I ain't went live in a minute. But yeah, we doing something different, man. I told y'all on this channel I'm gonna just talk about stuff that I want to talk about. It ain't no like I'm not leaning towards any type of specific anything on this channel. I'm just finna, you know what I'm saying? Talk about the things that interest me. So today, what we're going to talk about is the moon landing. Hold on, I gotta get. Oh, I see what's wrong. There we go. Okay, so I got my man's here, Darkness. We gon', you want to introduce yourself to the people?
What's going on, everybody? My name is Darkness, well, Jordan, but you can call me but Darkness. But yeah, I'm here representing, showing up for my boy, giving support.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so it ain't gonna be like no intense, disrespectful back and forth because this my man's,
No.
So I know a lot of people come on YouTube and they see debates and they think people gonna be screaming at each other and stuff, which I'm okay with, but we not gonna do that because that's just not necessary. But we gonna debate not flat Earth. If we went to, I'm so used to hating flat earthers, bro, that I just be like always thinking about that shit.
I feel you.
Cause I hate that shit. But no, we're gonna be talking about the moon landing because I don't want to explain your point. Let's just go into it. Like I don't want to misrepresent whatever your perspective is on it. So I want you to go explain that.
Okay.
And we could go from there.
So first off, I'm not gonna say that I am a complete moon landing doubter.
Mm-hmm.
I am not by any means saying that it isn't possible for us to get to the moon or we didn't get to the moon. I'm more so dismantling this whole story that's been given to us and putting it back together. And the pieces of the puzzle, to me at least, are not fitting the way they say it's supposed to fit. So I don't know if it's me, if I'm just crazy. I might be. But a lot of the things that they said for this moon landing just don't add up to me. And I have a lot of doubts. I have a lot of questions. And it seems like the more I seek the answers to these questions, the more or the less things start making sense of this thing. So that's where I'm standpoint. I'm not a doubter. I mean, I'm not a complete negative person in terms of whether we made it to the moon or not, whether we can make it. But like I said, the way they said we made it to the moon and back, it just doesn't add up to me personally. But we can deconstruct it. We can, ask some questions, seek the answers together,
Mm-hmm.
and you tell me if I'm crazy. I might be,
Okay.
but you let me know if your pieces add up to mine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I mean, we ain't gonna sit here and act like we some like astrologers, right? Like astronauts. We ain't been
got all the answers.
we don't. I can't get into the meticulous numbers of anything or
Right.
the nitty gritty science of it. But what's like the biggest thing you can't wrap your mind around with that whole process? Like what's like if you had to pick one the top point of what's wrong to you?
That's kind of hard to decipher because it's not really just one point. It's kind of like a domino effect. It's like if this, then this.
Okay, so is it because of all the precision that it took for them to leave land and come back? Is it just hard to conceptualize to you in a nutshell?
That's part of it again, but that's not the full brunt of it. So that's part of it.
Okay.
But I can completely take, full accountability. Like I said, we don't know the nitty-gritty and the numbers and the science and all of that. So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I understand that part. But again, that's just the first step. That's the stepping stone.
Okay, so how about this? You want us to? I could play a video that showed what they did, and then do you want to like pause it if you?
Yep.
Okay,
that works.
Let's do that. All right, so we're gonna play this, and then whatever you like. All right, hold on. Let's like. What about this? All right. Is that cool?
I can't see anything.
Excuse me. You don't see I shared the screen.
It just says, oh, I gotta click it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
The Saturn V rocket that lifted the Apollo 11 spacecraft out of Earth.
And when you want me to pause it, just say pause it.
Well, let's pause right here real quick.
Okay.
So, let's consider the time of all of this. The time period. This happened in 69,
Yeah.
right? And just thinking about the technological capabilities that we had back then compared to what we have now, that's also another factor in all of this that has me questioning, okay, how were we able to do it seemingly, you know, on the first try, let's just say, because they said that they had another lander that orbited the moon prior to this, but in order to land and successfully get back is where they lose me. But again, just given the time period, so I'm expected to believe that we were capable of building a craft that can safely help the astronauts get to the moon, which is over 230,000 miles away,
Mhm.
in the same period of time where just a year prior they mandated that seatbelts be worn. So considering the safety measurements and all of the preparation that would have had to have gone into this mission, I don't think that they were fully equipped to make that trip and back.
Mhm.
They talked about the fuel for this shuttle and saying that they literally had 12 minutes of fuel left once they reached the moon. So with that 12 minutes of fuel, how did they how were they able to then flip the shuttle, I'm assuming, to relaunch off of the moon? They said that it connected back to the, orbiter lunar module or whatever the thing that they had orbiting the moon, and then just so happened to float back to the moon seamlessly with
Wait, okay. Wait. Because you
it's a
you
lot.
went through
It's a
you
lot.
went through a lot of
It's a
points.
lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
so
Let's bring it back. We
yeah,
can
yeah.
take it one step at a
Okay.
time.
So you were saying the time period. You were saying the time period. As far as the time period goes, well, you said seemingly the first attempt, but we know this isn't the first attempt, right? Like people died, like they messed up, people almost died. We had a lot of mishaps with trying to go, right? So,
Right.
I mean, did you see Hidden Figures?
Hidden Figures.
The what's it called?
It sounds
Biopic
familiar.
with Regina, not Regina,
No, I
Taraji,
haven't.
Taraji P
I haven't.
Henson. Yeah, like those black women, they like literally were the ones that figured out the math to get us to the moon and back. Like so, and it's a biopic. It's of course you're gonna have your embellishments, but that's the story of how we got to the moon. So it wasn't the first attempt. Now, as far as technology goes, yeah, this was the 60s, but the 60s isn't like the 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of industries boomed like from the 50s, and as we went we learned a lot. We got a lot more experience with things. They made a lot of mistakes and shit started moving. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that it's kind of like, damn, how the fuck did we do that in the 60s? And we look at the technology we have now. It's like, it seems like it's something we should have been accomplished later in the decades. You know what I'm saying? But they had a lot of mistakes. And I think that to just chalk it up as to like technology wasn't up to snuff then, I don't think that's a good enough reason to disbelieve it. What's good, Rage? I appreciate you sliding, bro.
That the technology wasn't up to snuff per se, because I mean, looking back at the technology then, any and everything is gonna seem antiquated. It's gonna seem like what is
what the
that?
fuck?
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Right. But kind of like you said, like given the time period, it's so many questions that I have, because it's like, How
Okay,
were
go
they
ahead.
able to communicate with the shuttle the entire time? How were they able
That's a
to
good question.
communicate with them on the moon?
Like, see, my thing is like we have all these questions, but we weren't there, so we don't have all the answers. But
Exactly.
I don't know. I might be able to look up like the type of waves they use. I don't know that number. I mean, I don't know that answer that easily. Um, how did we communicate with
I think
astronauts on
they
the
said
moon?
some
There it
type
goes.
of satellite.
The telemetry, TV, voice, and range communications with Earth were all via the S-band antenna. VHF was used for communications between the astronauts and the lunar module, and an orbiting CSM. That
So
Columbia Space Module. I'm guessing.
so
I don't know.
apparently,
There were redundant transceivers and equipment for both S-band and VHF. VHF.
so apparently we had the technology to communicate with the shuttle traveling 230,000 miles in space, but the cell phone wasn't even invented until maybe 10 years later.
But I mean, if they're using different types of communication, you know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
okay. But also considering the fact that this was a time period where people still used rotary phones, it's like I can't wrap my
Well,
mind around
also think about this,
the
bro. What we use as everyday citizens ain't shit compared to what NASA, the government, you know what I'm saying? All the motherfuckers got access to. You know what I'm
okay,
saying? They might be sitting on flying cars right now. We don't know,
I'm
but
pretty sure
so I think we already know that we gonna get the stuff when it's
the right.
yeah, when it's the
We
finished
get
product for
okay.
more or less,
So
more or less.
considering that, how long do you think they've been working or they had access to this type of technology prior to
I would
this? This
I don't
I know
know.
you don't have the answers.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
know, but
yeah.
it's just things to consider. These are the things
Mhm.
that got me, second guessing.
But I think that
Because yeah,
uh-huh.
we can sit here and say that yeah, they use the special telescope or they use the special satellite,
uh
but it's hard to just accept that and be like, yeah, that's how it worked considering everything else. You know what I'm saying?
hmm I think that's a testament to the greatness of America, bro. And I'm not even trying to like cape for the country, but I think that's really a big part of it. Like just like with Russia, they was trying to do it too, but we beat them to it. I just think that's a testament to how great like America is. Like,
Question real quick.
yeah,
Did you see the Indian moon landing?
no.
Oh God.
Oh God,
We
wait,
gotta we,
what
we gotta
happened?
touch on we gotta touch on that later. We gotta touch on that
At
later.
another time or later today?
Probably later today because it kind of ties into this. It kind of ties into this,
Is what's funny?
bro. Bro,
He
please look
said,
it up.
yeah, he
You
said
have to
Hidden
look it
Figures
up,
is a great movie that shows the greatest. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you was here, Bearden, for when I got to that part, but I did tell him about Hidden Figures, and that was, it was a testament to how we accomplished the moon landing and whatnot. He didn't see it, but yeah, agreed.
yeah. I have to check
But
that
wait, so
out.
what about the Indian one? Like, what about it?
It looks generic. It looks fake. It looks like it was generated on a Sega Genesis.
Like,
Like
you mean the
they
real
got
footage of it?
they don't have real footage of it, but they have people in like a command center. Everybody got on like headsets and stuff, looking like the typical moon mission command center. And then they have this digital what the hell
This thing,
landing
okay.
on the moon, and everybody gets to cheering.
Hey. Wait, okay, so I
And
need
this
to,
was recent. I feel like this was
okay,
in like the past 2 or 3 years or so.
I really need to know. Is it that? Oh, they did this a couple years ago.
Yeah,
I need to know. Hold on. Watch this. Let's watch this. I never seen this.
We can see the Honorable Prime
please.
Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who is here to encourage us, and he is critically looking at the visuals.
Bro, what is that?
Is it like 1 frame per second? But these not people. This is just a craft, right?
Apparently that's a craft, but no, I didn't see any people or anything come out.
Nobody's in it.
This is literally all it is. It's mostly people in this
hear
command center.
from the Secretary Department
But
of
that
Space and
digitally
Chairman ISRO,
crafted
Shri S.
moon
Somnath.
landing.
It looks like
And
they
they're trying
just.
to-
It looks like it was a camera that was at 1 frame per second. But at the same time, what was recording it? They probably had
Exactly. You see?
maybe they had a satellite out there. Maybe they
Look at that.
now I don't know where India is as far
Look at
as
that.
advancement in technology, but if they have like a satellite out there that's only capturing at 1 frame per second, this is why they're that excited that they landed something on the moon, because they're behind. This is just telling me that India's just really behind. You get what I'm
Bro,
saying? Wait,
do you
India has become the first country to successfully land a spacecraft near the South Pole of the. Oh, because it's the South Pole. That's why they're excited.
Okay.
In a moment that drew cheers at parties around the country. So I guess the excitement is that accomplishment of landing it on the south part of the moon.
So, looking at that picture, you think that's authentic? Like, you think that was
I don't have a reason to believe it's not. It do look crazy. I will say it looks crazy as hell.
It has rocket thrusters coming from the bottom, yet no wind, no debris, nothing getting kicked up.
Well, everything is so slow moving. I don't think you. It looks like more like a reenactment of seeing what's happening. It looks like they like took it and made it like a video game and showed it to everybody. Yeah, that footage looks weird. I think it's a simulation for their lunar lander. Excuse me. Yeah, it looks like a simulation of what was happening, as if they couldn't film it in real time, so they simulated it. That is what it looks like. It doesn't look like the actual landing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I agree with you. You said look up the Chandrayaan-3 lunar lander. It's like a gold box with lit. Ain't that what we looking at? That's what we looking at. Yeah, Bearden, that's what we're looking at. Yep. Maybe he's just behind on the stream. Yeah, so I do agree. This looks like it's literally a simulation. That doesn't look real at all.
My thing is, if they were able to do this, what was that, last year?
Yeah.
2023?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they film it? Why couldn't they get actual footage do it in the 60s?
Do you think you talking about us or them?
Anybody. Us, them, anybody.
Well, again, I think the goal was that they landed on the south side of the moon, though.
Not to, he
said on
documents
Google
or not to,
Wait,
show
what?
the journey leading up to. It's just, we skip ahead and we.
Wait, you cut out on me. What did you say?
Me?
I can hear you now.
No, I was saying, why couldn't they film anything, considering this was last year? Like,
I don't know
I would imagine they would have some type of camera, a webcam or something.
I wouldn't say couldn't versus didn't choose to. I don't know. I'm not. I ain't prepared to say what India should have did. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It, like you said, it shouldn't have been an issue. Beard, in all these pictures, my issue is why none of them look like a real picture. This looks like a real picture. Everything else looks like a animated picture, a design. The rocket looks dope as fuck though. Hello?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Is this like none of these are all designs. These aren't real pictures. I want to see a real one. I guess this is it. Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't have gone and taken pictures of real footage, because I mean we still have the ISS going and everything, So I don't know why. Like I said, India might just be behind, but if they landed on the south part of the moon, then that's, I guess, an accomplishment. But it seems like Yeah, yeah. I saw the real one though, Bearden. I saw it. I do wonder why they wouldn't just record it in real time though. That's pretty. I don't know why they wouldn't. I don't know. And that does look like a simulation. That wasn't. I doubt that was like actual footage of it happening, and I don't believe
They
that at all.
couldn't get no type of actual footage though. None whatsoever.
I
Not
don't-
of the launch.
I don't
not
know.
Of the
But look
landing.
though, you say that, but we actually have footage of them on the moon though. You know what I'm saying? Like, even with all your questions, like everything that you question about it, we have that footage, and it's
Let's
hard
look
to
at
say
it.
it's
Let's
fake.
look at it. Let's look at it.
Okay, let's go there. See, go.
And Collins arrived.
Okay,
We
so
rolled.
want to get
The next
okay.
day, Sunday, July 20th, was landing day.
In a lot of anticipation, we finally come to the day, the moment that this is about to commence.
Landing on the moon was absolutely the most difficult piece of any Apollo mission, okay? Think about it as a controlled fall out of lunar orbit. The problem is, in this controlled fall out of orbit, you only have enough fuel for one try.
Captain onward, go for landing. Altitude
That's why we had so many.
40, go
But that's
for
why
landing.
we've had so many mistakes and shit go wrong. Like if everything doesn't go right, then you don't have the landing. People die or you
If
don't do it.
everything doesn't go right. In this case, where the margin of error is unsurmountable,
Yeah.
Any small smidgen of a mistake can cost everything.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest things that has me questioning that they were able to do all of this, put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it. come
That
back
sounds like a song. Put that
unscathed.
thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
That's Missy Elliott.
Oh, I'm tweaking. I'm like, I'm not tripping. I'm like, that sounds so familiar.
They can do all that and come back unscathed.
One time.
One time.
Yeah.
Bro, did you see the recovery? Like when they landed back?
In the ocean?
Yes.
Yeah. What about it?
I just reviewed that video again right before we got on.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Okay, first of all, it's so much context. They granted that they were in space for how long? 8 days or so.
Mm-hmm.
They've been trapped in this lunar module that's been in free fall towards Earth, let's just say. Okay. Imagine if you were on a road trip for 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no getting out of the car to stretch. There ain't no rest stops. You would think you would come back to Earth disheveled, crippled, tight, something. Why these people land and they scooped them up, took them in the helicopter, landed the helicopter on aircraft, what you call it, an air carrier, and then had them walk off of the helicopter to get into this decontamination chamber, which looked like a mobile trailer.
I didn't watch.
mobile
Now,
trailer.
whatever that is you watched, I didn't watch. I thought
Please,
you was just
please
talking
look it
about
up.
the.
Please look it up, my brother.
Bearden
Look it up.
said Kerbal Space Program is a space simulation game. Oh, I know that. The Darkness, you might love it. You basically playing the perfect space road tripping back there. I heard about that game, Bearden.
The trajectory
What's it
I'm
called?
Kerbal Space Program. I've heard about that game.
and
That does
wrong.
sound lit.
They were targeted into this
I'm gonna look at that video you talking about though.
inhospitable place. Then they had to fly over this area at a high forward velocity, then pitch up to slow down so that kill that forward velocity, and then start down like a helicopter. So now we're critical fuel state. And that's why the 60-second call was given. And then the 30-second
Wait,
call.
time out. Go back. Go back like 3 seconds.
Start down like a helicopter. So now we're critical
And-
fuel state. And that's why the 60-second
Do you see that at the bottom left corner?
What am I? The clear thing?
Hold on.
call was given.
Right there. There you go. Bottom right corner.
Okay.
Is that the curvature of the moon?
My assumption.
We're
Okay.
critical fuel state. And that's
Can
why
we
the
assume that they
60-second
are
call was given.
relatively close to the moon at this point?
Yeah.
Like they're orbiting the moon pretty closely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not trying to go into the whole flat Earth thing, but considering the fact that people
Critical
say
fuels.
that the Earth can appear flat is because it's so massive. This planet is so massive, you can only see so much from a certain perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at this moon, we can assume that they are relatively
Right.
close, but you can still see
And
the
that's why
overall curvature of the
the
moon, which makes this look
60-second
way smaller than I
call
would
was
imagine
given.
the moon actually is.
Well, the moon is a lot smaller than the Earth for sure. Or that
For
could
sure.
just be,
Given.
it could just be,
forward velocity,
Hold on.
and then start down like a helicopter. So now we're critical fuel state, and that's why the 60-second call was given. And then the
I guess.
30
I don't know if the camera moved and you saw like a piece of inside the module or something, but, or it could be seeing a curve, but the moon is significantly smaller. I'm not saying you're supposed to just see a, you know what I'm saying? Being on it, what a video of them on it.
Tranquility, Houston, turn blue. We're
mission was all
Oh, show the part where they're walking. Maybe they don't show it in this video. I know there's a I want to see the video with them walking on it. Because the fact that you could just simply, when they're on it, you can just simply look. You can see the curve.
You can see it right there.
Yeah, you could just see it. You can just see it. That's how the moon is. The moon isn't nowhere near the size of the Earth. So, yo, Cree, what's good? Yeah, you're just not gonna. I mean, yes, you can see more of the curve. It looks flat in general, but you can see the curve because that's how much smaller it is.
Look at the curve compared to their bodies. You can't even see that type of curve 30,000 feet in the air from an airplane. They're right there, and you can see that much of a curve.
Yeah.
You don't see a problem with that?
No, I don't.
They're
I do.
literally standing, like you can see as they stand. It doesn't seem that far back where the moon starts curving.
Look at the difference
I get it.
to scale. I
I'm not
guess
saying
that's a
I'm not
huge.
saying compared to a human. A
No,
human person.
I get it.
Imagine no,
No,
it's like they're standing on a ball right now.
I fully get it, but I think this is such a significant difference that it's not unreasonable to think that.
To see that type of
Wait.
curvature from the ground,
How big is the
I
world?
could see if they were.
The moon is about 1/4 or a quarter the size of the Earth in width. Put another way, the Earth is about 4 times wider than the moon. And there's nothing to block you seeing the curve either. You got to think about that as well. There's
What you
nothing.
mean?
There's nothing to stop you. Like there's no elevation in height or anything. No buildings. No nothing. No. You know, you ain't got to worry about no water. No nothing. It's just literally the surface. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So you
but
don't believe
again,
anyone ever landed on the moon? I'm tardy to the party. He doesn't not believe it. He just has a lot of questions that he can't wrap his mind around.
And it's just it seems like more things come out and it's more questionable the more we look into this.
Can you see the curve of the moon from its surface? I don't want to use Reddit. I don't want to use Reddit. The answer is
And
yes.
again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't or couldn't see the curvature of the moon, but again, compared to their relative size, there is no way you would see that much of a curve from that perspective.
I get what you're saying. It seems like it shouldn't be, but if it's not, what do you suggest that it is? If it's not actually that, like if it's not that you could just see the curve, what else? What's the explanation?
Oh,
because
they're actually on.
Huh? Huh?
I mean, we can get into the conspiracies of it, but that I feel like is a set. That's not the actual
Okay.
moon.
Well, I know this isn't any full blown fact that's like that stamps it to be correct, but you know that MythBusters like recreated the moon landing picture to a T, and they got the same image, the image that they took.
So they recreated it to a T.
So as much as they could while being on Earth, of course. You know they can't. They're not there, so you know what I mean.
You saying there? They were here.
No. What I'm saying is, to the best of their human possibility,
I know.
Yeah. So, and I just think that even the issue I have is if it's not real, the effort that they put in to make it as close as possible should have made it a stark contrast, even especially if they're going to be on Earth. You get what I'm saying? It should have been like, if they're on Earth and not even on the moon, and they tried to get as close as possible, and it still came out the same, I think that's kind of like, it's kind of hard for me to explain that any other way.
It kind of proves the point, though, because if they were able to recreate it and they were not on the moon, that would mean that the example that, for lack of better words, the example that we've established.
Basically, you're saying that they both did it on Earth. So would that, okay, so wouldn't that kind of negate the fact that like we're smarter now? Like, wouldn't that negate the fact that we have like 60 years of technology and intelligence that we've gained?
That wouldn't negate it. As a matter of fact, I feel like that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. If we were able to do all of this back then, I feel like at this point, maybe I'm jumping the gun. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead. But I feel like if we were actually capable of completing this mission the way they said back then, I feel like by now, this conversation, we wouldn't have no room for this conversation, because I feel like at this point we would have either seen multiple missions back and forth to the moon, or we would be at the point right now where we could take a shuttle to the moon, me and you.
Well,
we wouldn't have a conversation about whether this was faked or not.
It's one, too risky, and too expensive, and it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be way too much money, way too time consuming, and there's no need for it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those.
I'm not saying that that's what we need. I'm not saying that that's the goal. I'm saying that given the time, we should be in that realm somewhere. Maybe
I think if they wanted to go to the moon, they would be able to fix a lot of the mistakes. I just think that there is just no need for it. So they won't. I get what you're saying. Like you asking questions and there are answers to them. I just don't know them. You know what I'm saying? But the people that work, you know,
by definition, black.
Look,
our photo.
They was basically talking about how, you know, there's no light coming from it, so the picture should be black when they take it, because
there was a secondary fill light illuminating him.
People feel like the light the conspiracy is that they had a light put on Neil in order for this picture to be taken, because there's no light source.
In the shadow, when there's only one light source on the moon, he would by definition be black. Our photo here proves just the opposite. That with a single light source.
So you see the single light source, which is the sun. And that's their picture. They recreated like a statue. They recreated the module. They recreated the type of dirt, the type of dirt that's on the floor, all that.
I see a stark difference already.
What?
I see more shadows on the actual moon than on that person on the NASA side. You get what I'm saying? Compared to the astronaut on the MythBuster side, you can see the shadows that's casting on his legs and on his shoulders, but on the NASA side, he's clean. There's no shadows whatsoever.
Their figure is probably just a little darker. They like use a little action figure. They probably put shadows on the little action figure. You get what I'm saying?
I can see that.
To recreate a shadow of the real person.
The surface they probably the same reflectivity as the moon. Our astronaut is
like all those creases in his suit is probably recreated shadows. Is my guess.
busting that myth. There was.
Let's see if he got that part where he's holding the statue. I mean, action figure.
The landing module, astronaut, lights, and camera sorted. Surf at the area. It's at the jump to the moon.
Scale module.
Going to shine and a surprisingly talkative toy astronaut.
This is my 1/6 scale model of Neil Armstrong. I can tell it's Neil because he's got the red commander of the mission stripes on his suit. What's that, Neil? We really.
This damn 240p ass video, you can't see nothing for real. Bearden asked, "What about the mirrors on the moon? Yeah, mirrors on the moon."
I think I heard them that they said they use mirrors to shoot lasers at the moon, and that would determine the distance and.
Yeah, that's what he said
speed and
actually
all of that.
prior. He said NASA bounced a laser off a cookie-sized device on the moon in January, retroflector on India's Vikram lander. Yeah, I guess that he's just further saying like we got there somehow or another. Also, the point I was gonna make was, yeah. So I know you said you don't want to lean hard into the conspiracy, but it kind of is like, okay, well, if you don't believe it, you have to believe that what we saw was something else. So my thing is, what about everybody that was watching the moon take off in person, like in real life, in real time, that was physically there and watching on their TVs as they like took off in a fucking rocket that went into the
you can
distance?
see a rocket launch. That doesn't
And then
mean
what?
that you can see the rest of the mission.
Wait, then what?
That's why
So
they
wait.
say.
So okay. We would you agree that two people could keep a secret, but 2,000 is no longer a secret, right?
Okay, yeah.
I think it's more unreasonable. I think it's more reasonable to believe that maybe we went to the moon versus thousands of people and their acquaintances were all in to lie to everybody for no reason. Whether or
That
not
doesn't mean that they were in on it. They could have been completely oblivious, like everybody
so who's
else.
in on it?
I would assume the people, the government, the political powers that started all of this. Because mind you, this moon mission was not for discovery. It was not for science. It was a race to see who can get there first. It was a political move between the U.S. and Russia.
Okay, so why wouldn't Russia out us if Russia accepts it? They had all the incentive. Russia agrees that we made it to the moon. They don't say we didn't really do it. If they have all the incentive in the world.
I would think on a grand scale, like is bigger powers than just who dictates what in the space realm of each country. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that NASA or the Russian equivalent of NASA would have any jurisdiction over putting out any information about the US. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they would have. I'm not saying that they wouldn't benefit from outing us, but I think there's a bigger, what's the word? A bigger governing body, let's say, that's restricting them from doing so.
That's a lot of that. Like I said, like when you have to think about how many people will have to be in on that type of deceit, there's absolutely no way that secret would never get out, and that there's somebody that has something to gain from that. Because if people are so deceitful to lie about us making it to the moon, there's no reason anybody will have a reason to keep that secret from the entire world for fucking 60 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's so many people that's okay with being able to lie to everyone on Earth, there should be people that's willing to out it.
I agree.
Whistleblowers whistleblow for a lot less.
But once it gets to the point where generations have passed and this whole story has been passed down for generations, it gets to the point where even if you do out it at some point, everybody's not going to believe it. You can.
Well, you have to have proof.
This grand story.
There's only proof that we went to the moon. There's no proof that we didn't.
You sure?
There's no proof that we did not. It's only questions that only certain people could answer, or if you really look it up, you could get answered.
Okay. Well, let's look at. You want to look at that the recovery, and you tell me what you think about this whole thing.
What am I typing in?
Moon landing recovery. What did I look up? I think moon landing recovery should suffice.
Is this
That
it?
one.
16 mil
Yep.
unedited.
There's no sound. There's no sound.
Okay. Wikipedia has the presidential speech written for a failure in
You can
event
skip
of
ahead,
moon
'cause a lot of
disaster
it
is
is
the
like-
title. Dang, that's interesting. That's interesting. Bearden, I'm gonna have to look that up. He says Wikipedia has the presidential speech written for a failure in the event of the moon disaster. Basically, a speech if we didn't make it. They had a speech ready.
Okay.
I was just saying it's interesting. That's all.
You can skip ahead because
Yeah.
a lot of it is just
I figured.
that floating.
And you're mainly
has
talking
Navy
about once they're
SEALs.
on the helicopter.
Yeah,
And once
that's them pulling them up.
okay, like here.
Yes, perfect. Now this is after the helicopter landed. They pulled the lander inside the aircraft carrier,
Mm-hmm.
and this is them getting off in the quote unquote decontamination suit.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how they walking.
Mm-hmm.
Now pause. You see that decontamination quote unquote thing that they just got into?
Mm-hmm.
We'll put a tab on that. Now, again, they were just in space for over 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
They were just crash landed into a ocean where they were recovered by the Navy. They brought them to this helicopter and they just walked out like it was just another day of work. Like they not tired, they not dirty, they just regular as hell hopping off the helicopter after being in space for 8 years. I mean 8 days. 8 days. Now, why do they have decontamination suits and everything, but everybody else is just regular as hell? If y'all were really that serious about decontamination and whatever bodies of, whatever they got out in space, if y'all were that concerned about it, why doesn't anybody else have on a decontamination suit?
Because they don't need to be decontaminated.
So if you just came from space, ain't no telling what type of bacteria you have on you, but they can just walk off of this helicopter unscathed, just regular.
Walk off the helicopter. I
You
mean,
know-
well, wait. So you're saying that because they got off, they landed in the water, they got rescued to get to the helicopter where they then got decontaminated. The decontamination is probably for their skin, not the suit. Right?
Okay.
Potentially. I'm guessing.
Now look at that. That's
What
them
is this?
talking to Nixon from the. You can rewind a little bit.
It'd be cool if it had sound, man.
So this is President Nixon walking in. And from this decontamination with a freaking curtain,
Mm-hmm.
look at them, just clean, pristine.
Wait, what do you think they're gonna look like? So you don't think it's possible they just prepared to be in space for 8 days? Like they knew that it wasn't like a question. They knew how long they were going.
Sir.
What? I mean, look, I'm not saying it doesn't like, I'm not saying that it's not like crazy as hell. I'm just saying like, if you knew that if you had to be in a car for 8 days, like you said, you're going to do your best to prepare. And they probably did their damn best because their life is at risk with this mission. So they probably over prepared.
Showers and barbershops.
I'm not saying they had shower. Well, honestly, you have showers and barbershops. What do you mean? they have hair on them.
I'm
A
saying
shower is not gonna.
They're
You're not.
clean.
They're not.
Look at them.
What do
There's
you?
no.
What would you look
at
like if you were in? What would you look like if you're in a ship for 8 days? You don't have. You're not doing anything. You're eating. You're talking. You're sleeping. Like what else? There's no reason they should look like they went through mud or anything, and they were in suits.
I'm not saying that they should look like they went through mud, but also they haven't showered, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Also, they've been cramped in this little box for 8 days. I would imagine they would be limping, they would be stretching, they would be tight, they would be sore, they would be crawling from atrophy. I don't know.
Well, they was in the helicopter before they got here. They probably could have done all that in the helicopter ride.
So you mean to tell me that they decontaminated, they cut their hair, shaved their faces, took a shower.
Wait, who said they cut their hair and shave?
Look at them. Clean.
Wait, you don't have to grow hair in 8 days.
Are you kidding me?
You don't have to, or he never had the face. I don't know what he looked like anyway.
For 2 days, you would start to see.
I don't know what he looked like
you
prior.
would see some type of growth.
Wait.
Look at the faces,
on,
bro.
Where's the pit? Isn't it a picture? Dude has a mustache now, bro. He has a mustache now, and he didn't have one. He didn't have one at some. Well, I'm not gonna say this is the picture they took before they left. I'm not gonna say that. But regardless, at some point he doesn't have a mustache, and he does now. So maybe it grew. Okay. I'm not. Yeah, like he could have left with no mustache. I don't know. But if there's a point where he didn't, then maybe it grew. And the rest of them don't have facial hair at all. Buzz looks like he doesn't even grow it. I mean, who's that? Michael Collins. He looked like he don't even grow hair.
So you telling me after 8 days they won't have no type of fuzz and Buddy got the perfect mustache?
Potentially not. I don't know. I'm not saying he has to one way or another.
And keep in mind, they are fresh off the helicopter.
And I don't know what they did on the helicopter. They used the same razors. And that too, like they used the same razors and creams that were, if they had it, maybe they had it with them. That's not unreasonable. When they were on the ship that they were shaving, if need be. It helps you pass time, that's for certain. Or they could have done it on the helicopter when they was flying to base. Like let's say they want to be safe. If you want to give the best faith argument, they probably tried to get in the best shape that they could beforehand. Like, you know what I'm saying? They probably wanted to be in good shape beforehand. They were probably eating as healthy as possible. When they were on there, they probably got all of the nutrients that they knew that they needed for that 8 days, probably in surplus to make sure that they're okay. If they wanted to shave and whatnot, they probably had the stuff for them to shave. Or they did it when they landed back and they got ready to look presentable to the country once they got back on that helicopter, which honestly makes the most sense. If they're going to be on TV, they probably groomed them on that helicopter ride.
Of course.
Yeah.
But you would agree that it would have to be a significant amount of time for all of that to take place, wouldn't it?
I don't know what significant means to you. I don't know.
Okay. I would imagine at least a day or so to get them to that point.
No, you're acting like they look like runway models. They just look like regular guys, bro. They don't look
like runway models. They hopped off the helicopter like runway models. They waved into the camera like
happy.
We do this all the time. We're back.
They're
just another day.
They're in a good mood. And they probably well rested. Bro, it took a day it took how long to get back? Hours? At least a day?
So you mean to tell
2 days to get back to Earth? They probably rested.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, your questions aren't unanswerable. It's just a matter of if you're willing to accept it. Because if they're literally doing nothing but flying in orbit to get back to Earth, their concern is only making sure they're on the right trajectory. And once they get to orbit, that's when they have to do something. Otherwise, you're just in there. And you're probably sleeping or grooming yourself if you have the space to do so. And once they got rescued, they probably did it on a helicopter.
Okay.
How long was the re-entry? Yeah, let me see. They got the whole conversation typed out that they had with Earth and them. That's
What's
cool.
this?
Excuse me. It looks like the entire mission, all of the communications and time stamps.
Mm. I'm just saying, Mello.
These niggas,
If me and you-
195 hours. Like,
If me and you took a trip to Atlanta,
mhm.
nonstop, like literally, we didn't even get out to stretch.
Okay.
You would think that
I would
once we
sorry.
did arrive, you would be tight. You would be disheveled, maybe. At least a little bit. Wouldn't you?
I think there's a difference in. I think that okay, but if you want to be more analogous, we was going to Atlanta and it took 8 days or wherever it took to go for 8 days. No. I'm sorry. We're just talking about the return. So, I'm gonna take Bearden's what he said. 3 days. We're in the car for 3 days straight. The real analogy is you get out and you get on a bus for a couple hours before you get to the American people.
Mm-hmm.
You get out of you get out of the car and then you get into a bus. That's enough time to stretch, eat, shave, whatever.
Decontaminate.
Whatever. Yeah, decontaminate. But
that's my biggest thing though. Not the biggest thing. One of the biggest things is the time that it would take to do all of that and how haphazardly they went about this. Again, if they just landed and they just recovered them from the shuttle, I would imagine they have some type of remnants of space still on them. We don't know, I would assume.
Well,
what
they landed in the
those
ocean
things
though.
do.
3
that washed
days
them
and
off.
15
That washed
minutes.
it off. Milo, is that what you're saying?
Wait, what are you? I don't get what you're saying. I don't get. You're saying what? I'm guessing the decontamination is about the skin. I'm guessing, even though their skin wasn't exposed.
No, it's about exposure in general.
Okay.
If you were out in space, there's no telling what type of bacteria is out there.
Right.
You come back.
Mm-hmm.
You land in the ocean. You are rescued.
Mm-hmm.
The people on the rescue mission had hazmat suits and all of that.
Right. That's because they was in close contact with them.
I mean, you take them out of the shuttle, put them on a helicopter, fly them to an aircraft carrier amongst hella regular people.
Wait, no. Didn't they get straight off of the aircraft into the contamination thing? They're not. The people that's in close contact with them, yes, have the suits on.
You don't consider this close contact?
They're not touching them.
You know there are airborne pathogens.
For sure.
Look at them. Oh yeah, just another day at the office.
Wait. Did they not put this suit on in the aircraft?
They would have had to.
Right. So
now they're getting into another decontainment.
Right. They probably kept these dudes covered, and the guys that were in contact with them was also covering themselves. So their body never got exposed to anybody else because they put these suits on to come from the craft into the decontamination to then take those suits off so their skin or their body wasn't exposed to anybody around them.
Okay, what about this dude in the orange right here? He was in the helicopter with them the entire time. He doesn't have a hazmat suit on. Just regular. We can argue that nobody
else. He has
else
a jumpsuit on. He doesn't have something over his face, no, but he has a suit on.
We can agree, or we can say
and also you're forgetting that they
else,
still have their suit on too. They have. He probably took his suit off, and they have their suits on. 21 days of quarantine. USS Hornet, the recovery ship where they entered the mobile quarantine facility. He said they had 21 days of quarantine.
Yeah, that looks like 21 days of quarantine right there.
I mean, this is just the video.
That looks like 12 minutes of quarantine.
Wait, when did they? Wait, they in there? Do we see them get out?
No, you see them shaking hands and answering questions from a window with a curtain.
Right, but do we see them? Do we see them again doing anything? Well,
no.
They was quarantined for 21 days. They didn't even interact with the American people.
They did. They just shook hands with Nixon.
Yes. Oh, okay. They shook his hand?
Yes. He reached into the box, which is crazy.
The quarantine probably was more so just to check their vitals and to see if anything goes wrong with them over time. Bearden said it. He said they did 21 days of quarantine, so I'm assuming that's just like tracking them and seeing.
After this?
After.
Okay.
I'm assuming like the 21 days begin after this. I think it wasn't probably about like you might have bacteria. It's probably just to see how their bodies are reacting to the trip afterwards to make sure no after effect or long-term effects. You get what I'm saying? That would be my guess if they quarantine for 21 days. But yeah, they didn't. Yes, Nixon if he shook their hand, that's one thing, but he probably was willing to take that risk for whatever reason. But in general, they didn't even react with anybody.
Again, I don't know. Again, this is what I'm saying. Like the whole safety protocols, the measurements that they've taken to supposedly get them to the moon and back does not equate to the precautions that they're taking when they get back. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. I don't see. I haven't seen anything egregious enough to not think so though. You get what I'm saying,
sir?
What?
If they had any type of pathogen, you would think that all of those people would not be there. If they are going to have people just walking around regular, it's not going to be that many people just out in the open with some space people with God knows what type of pathogens or whatever. They're not going to have that many people there. 1. 2, they're not going to have these people hop off. First of all, land on an aircraft carrier with a helicopter, then drag the entire helicopter into the aircraft carrier for them to walk off of. Like, why couldn't they walk off outside?
Outside?
This, to me, outside the aircraft carrier. Like, they literally brought the helicopter inside. So this to me,
yeah, so they could go straight into the thing,
sir. The point I'm making here is that this is all a production setup. This was all for a show.
Wait, wouldn't that be? Wouldn't you not put on a show so you don't get caught of all these? Like, if all of these things are possibilities if it's putting on a show.
We have to put on the show to make the people believe that we went to the moon and back and everything is hunky-dory.
But people weren't even that I don't think there was the conspiracy theories weren't a prevalent thing then to be trying to lie to everybody.
And that's my point, Mallow. You said this earlier. You said that why would they have any benefit to out in the US, or why would they lie about all of this? At a certain point, even
we don't know, Rasta. That's the thing. Go ahead.
At a certain point, like I said, even if you come out and say that all of this was a lie, most people are not going to believe it. 1, because we don't even know. Most people don't even know the details, the ins and outs. They just know that, oh, supposedly we went to the moon and that's it. But nobody knows the inner details, the bits and pieces that add up to everything. It doesn't make sense.
I don't see why it doesn't make sense. I think you're just asking questions that you don't understand and you're saying it doesn't make sense. That I don't even understand how computers work. How can they design any little pixel to create a form of something? Somebody out there can explain it to me, but that doesn't mean because I'm asking it doesn't make sense. That's not a reason to reject something because you don't understand why something is happening that way.
I agree.
I have no idea how
saying,
anything on my screen projects and I see it the way that it comes out at all, but it's happening.
So if we can, Jesus, this is going to be never ending loop. I feel like if we were capable of doing all of this, at a certain point, the argument would have to cease. We wouldn't have the capacity for any type of argument. There wouldn't be any type of confusion. At a certain point, you would think.
You would think that with flat Earth too, wouldn't you? People still question it. And it's the flat. This is more of an argument that I could entertain than flat earthers. That argument is absolutely ridiculous and people still ask. Like, I don't think there's no way to say there's still questions. People can ask stuff. It's either you're going to accept the answer or you won't. You know what I mean? Like, it's just some people are going to be geared towards thinking something and some people go thinking another. Like, there's literally there's people, I don't want to do this, but I don't know how you feel. I don't want to get into it, but there's literally all the statistics and facts, and even with your own eyes, you can see that the COVID vaccine helped more than it hurt. And there's still people that are out here saying it killed more people and there was a worse option than not getting vaccinated. But there's no reason anybody should believe that if they're being objective about what happened. People question everything that they don't understand, and then once they get an answer, they like, nah, I don't accept it. But that's not good enough. Now, I'm not saying believe everything. I'm not saying there isn't a point. No. Yes, there's always a healthy level of skepticism is perfectly fine in most cases. But the thing is, to question something to no ends, even if there is some type of answer that's reasonable. I think there's reasonable answers that one could accept, and then they'll be like, I don't know, but I don't know, it is what it is. But to reject it off of not being able to understand the answer isn't fair to me.
That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a giant puzzle, right? We can deconstruct and ask questions about each and every little aspect, but it all adds up to the overall bigger picture.
Right.
Now, you can ask a question and give me an answer, and I can be like, yeah, that makes sense. But what about this? If you give me an answer to this and it contradicts what you just said, now we have a different problem. I'm not saying that because I don't understand any of this, it just doesn't make sense. So I don't want nothing to do with it. It's okay. I can accept this. I understand this part.
Right.
But when you put 2 and 2 together, I'm not getting 4 personally. You getting 4. I need to know what the difference in our math is.
Wait, so where do you feel is a strong contradiction?
I'm saying in general, like I said, we can talk about the finer details of this entire thing, but at the end of the day, the finer details to me do not add up to the picture that everyone else is getting. And I'm not saying that because it doesn't make sense to me that, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't want to accept any answers. I'm willing to open in to any answer, any type of answer. However, the answers that I'm given are not adding up to each other. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. What was I finna say? Hold on. I was messing with my computer. Okay. So you don't believe in do you know what Occam's razor is?
Vaguely.
It's basically a concept of usually the simplest answer to a question is the right one. Usually. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's a cop out in some sense.
But I'm gonna go in depth. Like, say an example is if you're outside and you hear a trotting noise like a gallop, you're safer to assume it's a horse than a giraffe. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like it makes more sense. Now it does not mean it's no way on earth that it's not a giraffe. You know what I mean? But you're probably right if you think it's a horse. If you're just like in a given setting, depending on where you are. If you're at a zoo, of course anything goes. So, but if you're just out in public, you're probably safer to assume you hear a horse running than a giraffe if you can't see it. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
So,
now, put that in terms of this argument.
Okay, and I will. As far as the moon landing, we know that technology and science does a lot of things that's complicated, right?
Yep.
There's things we experience each and every day that's like mind blowing. Like, how did we ever get here? We know that we at least have the possibility to get objects into space, right? Because we track the weather, we track natural disasters. There's an ISS that you can look at any given time that tells you exactly where it's going to be and what time, and you can look up in the sky and see it. There's all types of things we've done with space. We can take pictures of things in space. We've had, so the story as it is now is that we went to space. We have video footage of it. We've had people try to debunk it, and from their attempt to try to debunk it, got the same results that come to it really happening. You have millions of tens of thousands of people that work towards making this happen. They get paid every day to have this job, versus tens of thousands of people in on a deceitful mission to make everybody think we went to the moon and didn't, and put on a production. Because I don't get it. That makes far less sense to me.
It makes far less sense. Say that last part one more time.
I said it makes far less sense to me that all of this is just because, especially if there's not any like financial gain in it. And there's other people have all the reason in the world to disprove it.
Oh man. I feel like we would be opening up a whole nother rabbit
Can of
hole.
worms.
Because like I said, it's so much to all of this. It's more than just this. We haven't even scratched the surface. I feel like we're
I know it can be
looking
tired.
at this objectively. And again, neither of us know the inner details.
Mhm.
So we can sit here and talk till we blue in the face. But at the end of the day, this event either happened or it didn't.
Okay.
The way that it's been put out there, the way it happened, does not add up to everything else that came after. Meaning we had several moon missions apparently between 68 and 72, but where's the footage? Where's the data from all of that?
Wait,
Where are the attempts after that?
Well, we did try after.
I'm saying they had moon missions from Apollo 11 to up to 17. I
Yeah.
believe 18, 19, and 20 got canceled.
Uh-huh.
So
Because people were
from the
almost
other,
dying. Like, remember Apollo
from the
13?
other- of course.
Right. So, I mean, at a point, you're not finna just keep trying to go there just because, and people get on the brink of death.
So we can agree that their entire purpose of getting there in the first place was political. We can agree.
I think that politics could play a part, but I think it's mostly out of human curiosity. I think that's bigger. I think, well, listen, I will say, especially in the beginning stages. I think initially it was literally to know things and to be the superpower of the world. I do think that there's a level of ego in it. I'm not gonna say that it's non-existent. I'm not saying that. There's a level of ego as far as politics and just the image of America. That's totally a factor. But I think that initially it was out of pure human curiosity, because we wouldn't even be as advanced as we are if people weren't just curious about things.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you telling me that out of curiosity, the U.S. government decided to spend however many millions, billions on this entire project just out of curiosity. They went through all the great lengths to come up with this seemingly impenetrable math to calculate what it would take to get to this moon and back. They managed to do all of that out of curiosity.
No, I said politics plays a part. I said that, and I said initially, but don't you? I said initially it was probably curiosity, and then there was some ego put into it. But over time, when it was like, yeah, let's do this. Said America won the space race, Russia ran broke trying. That was the goal. Yeah, like Beard, and I accept that it was a level of competition in it, especially towards the end. But also, don't you think that if we was gonna lie, we would do it more than once? Like, why would we only lie about making it once, and every other time people almost die?
It's hard to keep up a lie for too long. You would agree, wouldn't you? Now try keeping up multiple lies. That's probably why they canned the whole project.
If you think, okay, it's hard to keep up a lie. If all of the people and pieces are in place for this one lie, it's still a huge lie because you're lying with so many people.
Yeah.
I think it's harder to keep up with people involved in a lie versus the longevity of it. Excuse me. If two people know a lie for 50 years, chances are it won't get out. But for 50 people to keep up a lie for 50 years, I think that's a little absurd. And we're talking about more than 50 people. We're talking about thousands.
Okay. So what I'm saying is everything else after this mission, where is the documentation? Not the documentation, but where's the footage of any other mission?
I know there was. I haven't. Have you looked them up?
That's the one that exploded.
Yeah. I mean, they had even the first one where it blew up they even recorded the trials where the freaking ship blew up.
Okay.
I hate when they do that.
I don't even know where to begin because, like I said, this rabbit hole can get so deep.
Wait, oh.
But look at that lander, bro. Look at that lander.
This one?
Yeah, look at it. You mean to tell me that 3 people were in there for 8 days and came out just regular? They had all the space in the world. They had all the time and leisure.
Well, you got to remember. No.
shave.
Remember, it connects to another part. That was just to land on the moon, and the third captain was still.
Let's talk about that for a little
bit. In orbit.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. So, this aircraft had to reach some type of velocity to leave our atmosphere. It dropped off, different bits and pieces along the way. It traveled 230,000 miles into space, landed on the moon successfully. Meanwhile, there's another part that's still orbiting the moon all while this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
It said that they spent, I believe, 21 hours on the moon. I could be wrong, somewhere in that range. And then they relaunched off of the moon to reconnect with this module that was orbiting this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, how did they have the capacity, the overall setup to do all of that, to calculate exactly when and how and the angles to launch just so that they can reattach? And how did they not then go barreling off into space after relaunching?
That video I was finna show you explains it exactly.
See, all of this, I can accept everything all the way up until the point of getting back home.
Is it that you don't? Is it what is it that you? What part is the because like I said, this video can the margin of error. Facts. They did the math.
Insane.
We did that. There's some people out here that are fucking savant intelligent.
I believe it.
But
and I can even admit that even if they had that type of person on their squad, they're still in
the margin of error is just Jordan, I believe that it's absolutely insane. But I think that's why we only did it once. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you've seen those videos where like how many people get shot in the head and live? You know, like few. And I'm talking about like the brain's penetrated, not skint. You know, like, but it can happen, but more than likely no. It's just odds, which is why it's something that's been done once. And I think
that be an example of Occam's razor? I could be wrong, but wouldn't that be an example of you can assume that this whole thing? I don't know.
Because I get what you're getting at, but at the same time, we know that things that just seem very unlikely do happen. You know what I mean? Like we literally can point to things in real life where it's like these odds are so unbelievable. I don't even know how it happened, but it does. Again, which is why we did it once. Everything worked and it happened once.
Just under 1 day.
So
Columbia, which had been Eagle ascended from the lunar surface to rendezvous and dock with Columbia.
When I saw this, I was like, when I watched this, I was like, how the fuck do you do that? Like, how I don't even trip off the orbiting. That's understandable. But they already all of this was chosen on this. You got to realize the days they went was chosen specifically. They had to stay for these amounts of times specifically. You get what I'm saying? Like, and then you got all these people on Earth working with you to make sure that, you know, y'all still okay. Well, we looked up the communication they use. That's the type. I don't know how it works.
We ain't gonna get into that.
I mean, we don't know a lot of stuff. I don't know how the ISS could be tracked, but it is. You know, so I looked at this, I'm like, how you just floating around? But you know, that's how orbit works until you get out of it. But they chose this day because they knew the trajectory and the time that they needed to go around the moon before they could lift off to get back into space. You get what I'm saying? Like that's part of the reason why everything worked is because they chose the time at the right time.
The moon during the
it wasn't like all right, we just gonna go on this date and then hopefully everything goes right. It's like the rotation of the moon, the placement in it within the atmosphere, the time of year, everything had to be right.
I agree.
Yeah.
But what Andre say, you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather.
Facts. Which is why we've done all that and still failed multiple. We failed more than we've succeeded in this mission.
Did we?
Yes.
They don't have any records of that. They don't have any definite records of how many times we've attempted and failed this moon mission.
You talking about
that the manned moon mission started with Apollo 11 and 69. Prior to that, they were looking at going to the moon.
Well, the issue was even getting to space first. You know what I'm saying? Like we couldn't even get to space at first. And then once that got accomplished, it was the moon. But I'm guessing that this risk is so high that they couldn't do it again. And when they did try to do it again, it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the first we had to accomplish getting to space. That was the issue at first, remember? And then it was orbiting the moon. Then it was landing on the moon.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna look it up.
lunar.
What?
When did they start?
Landing.
They start.
Columbia docked with Eagle, and Armstrong and Aldrin reunited with Collins in the CSM. The LEM ascent stage was jettisoned, and the CSM entered the trans-Earth injection phase to make the voyage back to Earth.
There. It was the
Hold on, I
phase of the
missed
moon
something.
that they needed to leave the moon at a specific phase, which is what they're saying.
Okay.
Which is what jettisoned them out of the moon's orbit to go back to Earth.
Mm. Okay. I'm just gonna assume that they had the magical capabilities of flipping and turning the module off of the moon some type of way to then reattach to an orbiting module and then somehow use the gravitational pull of the Earth to successfully make it all the way back. But where I'm having a roadblock is how in the beginning they said that again they had 12 minutes of fuel just getting to the moon. How do you have enough
No,
fuel to relaunch,
wait, I don't think
recalibrate however you need to, and then make it all the way back?
it wasn't the fuel to get. It was the fuel to land. It wasn't to get there. It was to land. They had to. They had to hover around to land at the correct spot, the correct way.
Okay.
And once it was there, there's no fuel being used. And then the fuel needed to be used to get out of the orbit of the moon. 12 minutes is was what they needed for landing. They have fuel to get off. And once you're in orbit, once you're out of the orbit of the moon, you don't really rely on fuel. They're not
Right.
using fuel to get through,
That's what I
through
was saying. The
space.
gravitation pull, yeah,
Yeah.
the Earth.
Yeah.
But again, my biggest hang up is how were they able to relaunch off of the moon, connect to this thing, and then have enough fuel to course correct, I would assume. You know what I'm saying?
You don't. I mean, you don't need fuel because, like I said, you don't need it after you're in you're in space. They don't need any fuel. The problem was that they was using fuel because they probably needed the force to land correctly, so they were using it. But once they landed, it's no use for it. And then once you need it to get off again, you good. And then you use the gravitational pull of the moon to get out of the orbit.
Okay. Let's agree with all of that.
Uh-huh.
But taking it back, would you agree that if they were launching from Earth and they had this rocket propulsion the entire way or majority of the way, you know what I'm saying, to get them outside of the Earth's gravitational pull, they needed rockets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're rocketing towards the moon, and I believe they said the journey took 3 days. Would you agree that if they were propelling towards the moon, yet using the moon's gravity using the Earth's gravity on the way back, would you agree that it would have taken longer to get back than it was to get to the moon? Considering that they don't have rocket propulsion, you said that they don't need to use launchers in space. But you would agree that
Well,
it should, maybe, should it take longer?
No, even if it took longer, taking longer doesn't require usage of fuel. If that's what you're saying, I'm not sure if I'm understanding.
That's the point that I'm making. I'm negating using fuel. Let's assume that they didn't use fuel,
Okay.
but they're using the gravitational pull of the Earth. Wouldn't it take them longer to get back to the Earth than it would for them to get to the moon?
I thought it took 3 days to get back too. Didn't it?
It took them 3 days to get there. They spent the day on there, and they came back. And I think the entire trip was 8 days and like 40 minutes or something.
3 days and 3 hours to get there.
Mm.
2 days and 22 hours. I don't see why it would necessarily take longer. I don't see the reasoning. especially also if you also have to take into account how close or far the moon was from the Earth at that point.
Okay, that's fair.
So it could be a little bit closer at that point, and depending, where the Pacific Ocean was at that point, potentially. Because I'm not sure. They didn't land in the same place that they took off necessarily. So.
Okay. I mean, what's the end goal that we trying to get here? 'Cause I feel like we could beat the dead horse all day.
No, yeah, we could, of course, endlessly. I think that I'm not saying that you will or have to change your mind, but I think even if you were to change your mind, it wouldn't happen right here, right now. Even if you were to ever change your mind, and if I was to ever change my mind, it wouldn't happen here right now at this point in time. We'll just keep poking and prodding. The reason I like these conversations and dislike them is because I agree that we all need a healthy level of skepticism. I just think that when we question certain things that more so break the fabric of who we are as people, I think it's just kind of leading to Darius territory, which is why I don't like anti-vaxxers. I don't like that shit. It's just you're really endangering people. We've already had somebody lose their life because they were a flat earther and wanted to prove us wrong, and he killed himself. So it's just like certain things is dangerous to. I'm not impeding free speech. I'm just saying that sometimes when people argue certain things, it just leads to a road of nowhere.
I can agree.
Yeah.
And I also have a love-hate relationship with these type of conversations because
it's a love-hate.
it's room for growth, is room for understanding, and we all know that we can occupy the same space but see everything completely differently.
Yeah.
And no matter how well you argue your perspective, everybody's just not going to see things the way you see it.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, like I get the room for growth and progression that comes from these, but at the same time, it's like we're just arguing perspectives. I can say this is a 6, you can say it's a 9, and we don't just be arguing forever. But at the end of the day, like I said, at a certain point, I can agree that, skepticism does get a little tiresome. But personally, I'm willing to ask all of the questions that need to be asked because I'm not the type to just blindly accept anything that's put in front of me. Like, I'm going to take the pieces that's given to me. I'm going to look at them individually, put them together to see where they fit. And if it doesn't fit, or if I conclude that this particular piece, and I'm trying to sum all of this up. If this particular piece to the puzzle doesn't fit with this other piece, I'm not going to throw the whole puzzle away.
Facts.
I'm going to try to figure out, okay, if not this, then what?
Mm-hmm.
And in my search of doing so, it just uncovered more and more questions. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, we can sit and question and wonder till we blue in the face, but nobody really knows. Nobody knows for real.
I mean, to be fair, the people that did it know, right? The people that actually did it know.
What's the inverse of Occam's razor? I feel like there should be.
I don't know. If it is a concept, I don't know it.
Whatever that is, I'm gonna coin the term, but I just feel like everything shouldn't just be like, yeah, that's simple enough.
No,
that makes sense.
For sure. Like, okay, for example, I don't know if I buy into OJ. It's so many questions. The people that was there involved know. I don't know what happened, but I don't have the capacity to have such a strong. Now I'm not trying to attribute you as having a strong conviction of being right and feeling like you're not wrong. because I don't believe that's how you feel. I just think you just
That's not how I feel at all.
right. I don't think that's how you feel.
I would love to be wrong.
Yeah. So
please prove me wrong. Just show me. I would accept it.
So like with OJ, I'm not going to go around arguing one way or another strongly. You get what I'm saying? Because I don't know. And then to draw it to this, it's like I haven't seen enough that's just because I don't understand something that I have to go against it. And also the biggest thing about it is there's no harm. You get what I mean? Like, it's no harm in me assuming that everything is on the up and up with the moon landing. You get what I mean? But then you got people that's like the flat earthers, they assume it's wrong. You get somebody to try to prove it wrong and kill themselves. So it's just like, or the anti-vaxxers, they think something's wrong. You don't get vaccines and your kid dies from measles. Like, this is the type of shit that I have an issue with. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I just kind of be like, you gotta really pick and choose what you want to really rally. Now, I'm not saying you did because I brought this conversation up. You know, you're not running around telling people the moon landing didn't happen or nothing like that. I love it. And, you know, I know with you're going to give a good argument. So, versus some people just are anti to be anti. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, right. And I think your questions are, you know, they make sense. Like, and of course, you know, we not the scientists behind it. But I personally, from what I've seen, it's not enough for me to not believe it. And to not believe it seems way harder to do than to just think that everything's on the up and up, just for me.
I get it. Everybody's not willing to go deep down the rabbit hole. There's only so far that's even worth it.
The COVID vaccine was not created fast. That's a misconception that a lot of people. That I didn't take the COVID vaccine at first either because I was just like, I'm like, man, this shit new as fuck. I don't know nothing. I was really skeptical. I was skeptical, like most people was and should have been. I wasn't like, oh, they got the vaccine, I'm finna get it. I didn't get that shit till I had to get it. And once I started looking into how it was made, how it's freaking actually better than traditional vaccines, the way they make it, it didn't get made that fast the way people think, and it didn't go through less trials and testing than any other vaccine. I was like, okay, this is just a new vaccine. But since these are unprecedented times, a lot of people just don't understand that. So, yes, COVID was not brand new. It didn't fall out the sky. And Obama left Trump with plans for it, and Trump said, fuck that. Like, COVID wasn't brand spanking new. It was known of. It just took over. No, I mean, but what are you comparing it to? I'm sorry, Jordan. I don't know that. I'm talking to chat. You want to hop on? You don't have to. If you don't want to hop on, you don't have to hop on, bro. You want to hop on? It'd be easier to talk. You know, I ain't doing that. You still got plans later today?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I was actually gonna wrap this up in about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, you good, bro. I think yeah, hop on, bro, if you want to talk about it.
We got a lot to talk about, man. We got a lot of conversations to have.
No, this was fun.
I still wanna run that Great Pyramids thing back.
Now with that, I will do it. I don't have as strong of a conviction though, is the moon landing. I will do it, but I'm not as strongly. I don't have as much conviction for it. You know.
I get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, Rasta, if you want to hop on, you can. I'm not going necessarily. If you don't want to hop on, that's fine too. But I can still do that one. I just wanted, of course, I want it to be separate from this because we'll be here forever.
For sure.
I got to do a little bit more digging on the pyramid thing.
Please do.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm not as strong. I don't have as much conviction. So because what I do know, I got questions too. So I just gotta dig a little bit more. So shit, I might be on your side. So you feel me? I'd like to have some more information so I won't sound crazy. I mean,
I feel like this should have.
That's why I was trying to give you the info. What'd you say?
I feel like this should have like a multi-part, if need be.
What you mean? This convo?
Because like I said, we haven't even scratched the surface. There's so many different rabbit holes, and that's only if you choose to. Because like I said, we could sit here and beat this horse till we tired.
Yeah.
So we can't beat it no more.
Yeah. I just for me, I'll be on this bitch for 8 hours if I had the time, and
Yeah.
so I just be trying to get on here when I can. So I think for the sake of that, as far as my schedule now, if we do this again, we probably just pick a different topic altogether. And then
That's
if it's
cool.
ever a point we wanted to circle back, we can,
Bet.
Yeah.
All right, my man. I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle.
All right, bro. Sounds
Well,
good.
we can definitely run this back. We could definitely do this again, different topics. I'm down for the discussion. It's been a minute since I had
Got to
this
do this.
type of
It's fun though,
yeah.
ain't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Brings me back.
I be trying to, get people to have conversations. You not into politics heavily, are you?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I'm
Okay.
not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Why?
Yeah.
Just
At this point in my life, like I said, it's I don't even know where to begin with that one.
it's all good. I was just curious why you did. Why not?
I'm just not with the theatrics. I'll just put it at that.
I hear you.
I just feel like it's two separate wings on the same bird. It don't really make too much of a difference to me, and I could be ignorant. I'll accept ignorance in most political factors. I'm not going to pretend to be any type of political science or any type of poli-sci major or anything like that.
Right.
But at this point, it's like, given everything that I've seen in politics, it just seems like a big show to me, and I'm just tired of watching.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, I'm not.
I get anybody that don't.
Anti-politics.
No, I get
and I'm
anybody
not
that
for
doesn't
it
care
either.
to discuss it. I'm not finna sit here and convince you to get into it. I get it.
Right.
I'm not even into it, quote unquote. But it has recently made me realize a lot of things that I'm just paying attention, and I think I'm gonna pay more attention from this point going forward, more than I have before.
I feel that.
Yeah.
And I've been looking into not extensively, but just seeing what's going on in today's realm, and it's so clowned out to me, bro. I can't take any of this stuff seriously.
Definitely a show now. It's more of a show.
It's definitely feeling like a
I think it's just.
sitcom.
I think that's just the result of the times that we're in. It just seems like that's the way we've been moving over the past few years. So everybody makes everything a show, even when it don't have to be or shouldn't be.
Like that whole assassination attempt.
Yeah. Excuse me. What about it?
I feel like that was a show in itself, because it's like,
I question that too. I questioned
if
it.
you just got an attempt made on your life, I don't think
Hopping
you
up.
would have any type of capacity to be hopping up talking about, let me get my shoes, and then taking a picture like, yeah, we did it, we
Bro,
survived. Like, come on.
There's quite a few things that I'm gonna try to go through this quick. I know you said you're finna go. It's funny because I don't know how I feel about the attempt to this day. I don't know. I don't. It's a big risk if it was a show, but the thing is with that, like you said, him hopping up for the fist just seemed too perfect of an opportunity for him.
Mm-hmm.
The man said they're looking for a shoe. I think that's because he needed the height, because he was going to be a lot shorter. So I think Trump he wanted to make sure he wasn't looking crazy with one shoe, and his height would have been dramatically different.
He needed that for the picture.
Yeah, he needed it for the picture, everything. And just like you said, and for if the thing is, if that was real, Trump is no, this is the thing. If it's real and Trump hopped up for that fist, that's how crazy he is. That's how crazy he is as an individual. I don't think that's smart for anybody. And if it's not real, it was a giveaway.
Man.
I still don't know how I feel about that. It's some conspiracies that I entertain.
Have you seen his ear recently?
I haven't seen it recently. I haven't looked at it. It looks untouched?
Untouched.
Yeah, man. Ugh.
And I think he even spoke on it. He said something along the lines of magical healing or something.
I mean, I
I'll
don't
have
even
to
listen
find a
to
video.
words that come
I
out of
have
his
to-
mouth and
I
take them
have to find it,
seriously.
bro.
I don't even take the words that come out of his mouth seriously at
And
all.
that's why I don't take none of this stuff seriously. This is all a show. This is a sitcom or reality TV, and I'm just tired of watching.
Yeah, I hear you.
But all right, bro, I'm gonna go ahead and slide on up out of here.
All right, man.
Enjoy the
Appreciate
rest of your
you.
stream, man. For sure, for sure. Hit me up
Appreciate you.
next time.
All right,
make something
we
happen.
can even like if you're gonna keep Discord, we can have combos in the chat too or whatever.
Bet for sure, for sure.
All right, bro. Appreciate it.
All right, peace.
Peace.